Okay.
We're live.
We're live.
Well, not yet. I didn't get my notification. Hold on. Now
Well,
we're live. Okay.
we're really close to live. Let's put it that way.
No, we just went live.
We are just now live. Okay.
Yeah.
So, hello, live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Let's make sure everything is set here. Okay, that's all good. Let's get this party started. Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alyx King and Bill G. Today is Tuesday, June the 25th, 2019. It is 8 a.m. in New York, 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, 1 p.m. in London, and 10 p.m. in Sydney, Australia. But wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I am happy to announce that The Grass is Greener now has an official rehearsal schedule, and we are giving it to the cast. Yeah, this is good stuff. Like we were talking about before the show, this is where the reality gets real.
Yep.
It starts to harden into that reality. And I know PJ was reaching out to Carissa, who is our lead actor. She's playing the lead protagonist in the show, Nance, and Carissa is really, really excited. And I know other people are excited too. So it takes a while. It's amazing how many logistics you have to go through, Alyx, right? To get all this to happen, collecting all the intake forms, whose schedule is what, and all that kind of stuff. Trying
What
to match,
scenes to
merge.
shoot when. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just. I understand now why movie companies, when they make a movie, it costs them millions of dollars. Because we're just doing this little audio play, and look how much time it's taken us. We put it. I was looking at the little spreadsheet that I keep on our hours. We're now officially over 400 hours.
Wow.
On an audio play. I mean, God, how many hours go in on making a movie? It must be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. But it's all good, and it's coming together. It's getting
all
exciting.
gravy in the Navy.
It's gravy in the Navy, okay. Do you sit up at night and work on these? Is that what you do? You come up with some really interesting phrases.
Listen, as a child, I wasn't allowed to swear, so I just got real creative with stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works. And Bill, you're quietly waiting for us to come over to you, but how are you doing? You look like well, first of all, you were talking about how the allergies are gone because you used the pendulum to find the right stuff at the store, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
But what else is happening? Are you doing okay?
I'm doing great. In fact, this weekend I will be at the American Society of Dowsers National Convention.
That's right. This has been coming up, hasn't it?
Yeah. On Saturday morning, I'm a featured speaker doing a talk about using the pendulum to release writer's block. And then I'm also going to be working at their wellness center doing SRT clearings for anybody who wants to have those. And another nice feature that they're doing at the ASD convention is that you can live stream the entire event. And the speakers, there's wonderful speakers through the entire event. Basic dowsing, like water dowsing and whatever, but also using a pendulum to do soul retrievals, to do checking out ancient sites and ancient artifacts and that kind of stuff. It's really, really fascinating. But for like $20 at dowsers.org, you can actually live stream the entire convention. So that's kind of cool.
All right. Well, good. You have something fun to look forward to as well. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So we actually had a couple of topics that we were kicking around before the show today, and I think we're probably going to get to both of them. But there's one topic we have to get to first, and that is our PR announcements.
Wait, before you start, hold on. I have to say something.
Okay.
I got a request from a new fan of ours, a friend of mine, who's in Japan, and said if you're going to be shouting out the different time zones, she would like to be included in Tokyo.
Tokyo. All right. Well, then I will look up Tokyo right now to find out.
13 hours ahead of us. So what time is it now? It's 8:05. So it's 9:05 p.m. there right now.
There you go. Okay,
Mhm.
9:05 p.m. So it is 9 o'clock or 9:05 in Tokyo, as well as 10 o'clock in Sydney. Right next to each other. No, not really. But but that's great. Sure. Well, we'll include Tokyo. Why not? And by the time we've been doing the show for another 5 years, we'll probably spend the first 10 minutes doing all the times. So.
Look, we know all the time zones by heart now. It'll be great.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody
Until
knows,
daylight savings comes in, and then we got to reconfigure the whole situation.
everybody knows how much trouble I have with Sydney time. So, that argument isn't going to work real well. But we do want everybody who's listening who is not yet a subscriber to become a subscriber. So that's what this purpose is right here, to tell you how to do that. And it's simple. You just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and right at the top of the page, you will find a nice big icon and instructions on how to do it. Just click and follow your nose, and I mean, literally, the wizard will just do everything for you. So don't worry that you don't know how to do all this tech stuff. All you have to say is, "Help me, Mr. Wizard," and Mr. Wizard will just walk you right through the whole thing. And then
Good show. Good show.
Oh, there's a throwback, I'll tell you. And then once you're a subscriber, of course, you have to share the fact that you're a subscriber, because that's how more and more people find out about the show as well. And don't just subscribe to the podcast. Come see us on YouTube, because then you can see us live with the video as well as the audio feed and see what we're going through. You can look at Alyx's beautiful ears that she has on every day and the purple background, and their co-hosts and what they're looking like and feeling like every single day. So, join us on YouTube and subscribe there. Why don't you describe the ring the bell process too, because you always do that better.
Okay, so once you go to YouTube, you can search LOA Today podcast videos, and once you've done that, you hit the subscribe button. And once you hit the subscribe button, directly next to it, there's a little bell, and you hit that bell, and you'll be notified every time we go live.
And that's it. It's just that simple. So thank you for becoming subscribers. Our subscriber numbers are increasing.
Mhm.
We're getting more and more people listening per episode, and I love it. I just love it. It feels good. I'm only imagining what happens when our loyal listeners they'll be the first ones to hear The Grass is Greener when it comes out. But
Right.
I'm also I'm excited about what's going to happen to the subscriptions to The Grass is Greener as that gets out there.
Mm.
I mean, this first episode, I don't want to overplay it. I don't want to overbuild it up, but we got a good episode.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
This is one that's going to get people's attention, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's getting exciting. So, like I said, we have two different topics for today, but really there's a lot of overlap between them the more that I think about it. So, Alyx, I'm going to let you go first. Tell us what your topic was, and then Bill's going to tell us what his topic is, and then we'll see where we go with it.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear where the overlap is, but okay.
Well, there's always a little creativity involved in overlap, but
Facts.
the way I look at it is the law of attraction, which is really what the show is about, touches every aspect of life. That's going to create some overlap no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I guess I could see. Yeah. Okay. I could see a situation. Yeah.
Yeah. It just takes a little creativity to realize, there is some overlap here. So you go first. Tell us what your topic is, and then we'll have Bill tell us what his topic is, and then we'll just go for it.
Okay. Well, my topic is friend zoning. Being put in the friend zone, or actually friend zoning someone else, aka curving. Yeah, it happens to a lot of us.
And for those of us who are, ancient in age and have no idea what these terms mean, why don't you describe the terms a little bit?
So basically, you may have a crush on someone, but they're not interested in you in that way. So they put you in the friend zone. And there's usually there's no way out. There's no way out. But
it's like being in jail, yeah.
More like being in jail in Monopoly, because after 2 turns you can try again.
This is true.
But yeah, so that was my topic.
And you know what? That's one that I actually knew very, very well, particularly when I was young. Yeah, we didn't have a term for it, but we could have very easily, because there was a lot of experience going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a challenging one. And then Bill, what topic did you have in mind?
The topic I had in mind was the joys and how is it? The joys and benefits of creative role play.
Creative role play. Now,
Right.
did you have something specific in mind with creative role play?
I was just thinking about just games in general.
Okay, because
Be-
I was going to say you need to elaborate because
oh, okay. Well,
yeah, because when you say creative role play, sir.
no. Well, I mean, we could go in that direction, but we don't need to.
See, that's what's so great about English. English is such a multi-valued language. It can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I was speaking specifically about uh, knowing when to, being able to relax and enjoy life by through energetic exchanges, by playing games with other people, and almost all games that you play involve some kind of role play, whether you're playing chess or you are going the whole hog with a like a Dungeons and Dragons or any kind of tabletop role playing, because you can take it to an extreme too, because you go to these like Comic-Con conventions and whatever, and people are taking it a step further and going with cosplay and that kind of thing, where they are uh, basically, I mean, you could call it escapism for some people, but for a lot of people, it's a means of expressing their joy, and I thought that was something that'd be interesting to explore.
Okay, actually, I can already see an overlap between the two. It's to me, it's like blatantly obvious because anyone who's ever been in that friend zone knows what the true meaning of the games people play really is.
Nice.
Right? Isn't that what that is? That's being played.
Yeah.
Right.
The only difference is that you didn't know that a game was on and you don't know what the rules are. But other than that, it's still a game and everybody's still playing roles and nobody's being real. Isn't that the essence of the friend zone?
Well, I feel like one person's being real and then the other person's like, I'm going to keep you around because I like the attention, but you have no chance in hell. FYI.
Wow.
Yeah. It's hard out here in these streets, let me tell you.
Yes, it can be heartbreaking, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and dating is not for the weak in 2019, let me tell you.
Well, I mean, I got to the point where I quit. So.
Yeah, I've quit several times.
Like, no, this is too painful. I can't handle this anymore.
It's not even painful. It's just annoying. It's like, oh, it's the same cycle over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do that often enough. It's like Chinese water torture.
Yes, exactly.
You just have that drop of water hitting you on the forehead 500 million times. And after the first 400,000, it just gets to you.
Well, now it's to the point where it's like, oh, I see the drip coming up. Okay.
Yeah, duck and cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And I remember vividly, I mean, thank you very much for bringing up this very painful memory, but I remember vividly.
I thought we could all do some catharsis today.
Yes, right. I remember vividly what it was like just before I met Louise, because it wasn't just annoyance. I was in pain.
Yeah.
I was in serious, serious pain, and that's why I quit.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, I quit all the way. It's possible. You know how you can quit part way.
Yeah, I low-key quit all the time.
Do you? Okay. So I wasn't doing that. To me, the towel had been thrown in. I was done, And then a month later, I met Louise, which was necessary from a law of attraction perspective. Yes. I had to let go of all that angst in order for her to finally show up.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, we don't really talk about that when it comes to playing an organized game, because Bill, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about like an organized game where you've got character playing roles, kind of like when you put together an audio play, like the grass is greener. That's playing roles. That's playing a game in a sense.
Yeah.
And in fact, all the players of the game are really excited. So that's how a game should be. But when you don't know what the rules are, that's when life gets to be a bit hellish.
That's when chaos ensues.
Chaos definitely ensues. Now, interesting thing about, there are lots of different role-playing games you can play. And it's interesting how so many people who play these games look for games where chaos ensues.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of violent games, a lot of angry games. There's a lot of chaos and crisis games. There's a lot of war games. I mean, what's video gaming all about? Most video gaming is about destroying the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, this is not exactly a happy, I'm really feeling good routine. This is a I want to crush something routine.
Well, it can be, because I feel like as a human race, we all just want to solve problems, and that's why we gravitate to games. You know what I mean? Like, you just want to finish the game and solve the problem and fix the issue or whatever have you.
Right.
Maybe that's why I've lost interest in video games. I lost interest pretty early, actually. But in the last few years, I've lost interest in trying to solve problems, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I've given up on it entirely, but I realized what a trap that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and video games are also, I mean, they're trying to make them more social with these battle royale games.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But again, when you look at these battle royale games, you know, what's the story? The story is you're living in this dystopic world where society has been completely destroyed, and now you're fighting for survival. You know, Hunger Games, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think Hunger Games is what started this whole battle royale
game
craze in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Winner takes all. Only one survivor, and right now the big game is Fortnite. And you go to Twitch and just look up the word, how many streamers out there are doing Fortnite, and it's just all over the place.
It's insane.
Absolutely insane. I attempted to play Fortnite once, and after about 10 seconds, I was like, "No, this is not my game."
A very healthy decision.
Yeah, well, I was dead in 10 minutes. 10 seconds.
Well, maybe it wasn't so healthy. That raises an interesting question, though, because so many. I mean, I'm going to look at this from a law of attraction perspective. Particularly from the perspective of being a deliberate creator, somebody who's trying to leverage the law of attraction to accomplish what they want to accomplish in life. So let's assume, for the sake of discussion, a person who want to attract X, Y, and Z into their lives, whatever that might be. And then they sit down and they start playing a game like Fortnite. And they start basically programming their subconscious mind with all of these horrible, death-like failures. Right. What is that doing to your subconscious mind?
Not great things.
No, not really. You're basically setting yourself up for failure in the rest of your life. So why do we do it?
Well, I personally don't recommend it.
Good for you. I like that.
Yes. I actually prefer, when I recommend video games for people, if they want to play a video game, I actually prefer sandbox games over battle royale games. Now, a sandbox game is like Minecraft, where you're playing with a bunch of other people and you're creating things. You're creating worlds and whatever. Now, some people do like to treat those sandbox games like battle royale games.
Yeah, they like to destroy your property.
And they'll destroy your property. They will kill you or whatever. And then again, if you're seeking a community, if you're seeking people to play with and people to get to know, then you seek out people, you seek out servers that you can go on where it's a more of a cooperative environment. My son likes to play Minecraft, and he recently found a server. There's a paywall to get through, because RT Gaming has this paywall that you have to go through in order to get into the server. But once he was in the server, they have very strict rules about cooperation, about no trolling, and the server is all about creating beautiful things using the latest version of Minecraft. And he was showing me around, and the level of creativity was just absolutely stunning. And these are all people working together. You see another person running along, and they say hello, and you can actually chat with them privately, and you can say, "Hey, where are you from?" And my son has friends that he plays with online. One of them's in Bulgaria, and another one is in Poland, and another one is, and so he's got these friends all over the world, and they when he streams his games, you know, he's got his own Twitch channel and he's streaming his games. They all come on and watch him, and they cheer him on, and so it it can be a very nurturing experience where you are attracting friends, you are attracting people who support you and build you up. And like you said, the flip side can also be true, where you're using it to tell yourself how terrible the world is.
Yep, that's true. It's interesting too that you mentioned the word sandbox, because I recall, you know, back when there were actually sandboxes, not, you know, virtual sandboxes, but the real thing, you know. And one of the things that kids would sometimes do is, you know, one person would be building like a sandcastle, and the other person would come and kick it and destroy the sandcastle. Well, it was actually a great built-in way to figure out really quickly who your friends were and who your friends weren't. Now we're to the point where we're using technology and, you know, digital apparatuses, so to speak, to help us make the same decisions for us. You know, like you said, through a server that you access through a paywall, and the server has its own rules built in, so that you can just feel safe going in there. It's an interesting alternative to choosing your own friends, to having the server choose your friends for you. So, but it leads to a question in my mind: is there what's the fallout from that? What happens as a result of basically giving that power over to a server?
Catfishing.
Well, yeah. Well, it's kind of like having a sandbox where a parent or a teacher is watching over it and making sure everybody plays nice.
Yeah, we anyone who grew up and experienced that knows just how worthless that really is. And
actually, you are absolutely correct, because there are still people who sneak in to these servers and who manage to fool the administrators that they're going to play nice, and the first thing they do is they start trolling people, and they're purposely seeing how far they can go before they get kicked out.
Yeah. And plus, you also get teachers or administrators or whatever you want to call them, who have their own ideas about how people should behave that don't necessarily match the ideas of the people who are playing in the sandbox.
Right. I believe RT Gaming once said about Reddit forums. You go into some Reddit forums. He said that they seem to be administered by 5-year-olds who don't who turn it on and off whenever they feel like it, and kick people on and off whenever they feel like it without any real rhyme or reason. Reddit is an extremely chaotic environment.
Yeah, we
so
learned
anybody going into Reddit thinking that they're going to have a intelligent conversation is in for a surprise.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how you define the word intelligent, but intelligible maybe, but if you're lucky.
Meaning life is out there, but
again, Reddit and these forums are basically another form of a sandbox, where you're going in and exchanging ideas, and instead of building a Minecraft tower or castle or whatever, you are talking ideas, and you're trying to build each other up and whatever, but then you get the trolls coming in there and just knocking them down.
That's it. That's what happens.
Why I don't go there.
What has actually happened, I think, is that technology has taken phenomena that have been going on for millennia and condensed it into a world where you can quickly go in and out and do all this stuff, and it all happens faster. It isn't that there's anything really new going on. It's just it's happening quicker. It's happening in a way that you can just zip in and out. And I think what's happening, there are a lot of things that are happening, but one of the things that are happening is that people are using that to decide more quickly what it is that they want and what it is that they don't want.
Right.
And interestingly enough, a lot of those choices have to do with choosing dysfunctionally.
Right. Well, my favorite type of games are and will always be tabletop games. where you're actually with another human being, where you can pretend for a little while. I mean, it's just like playing pretend, where you're pretending that you're somebody else for a while, and you find people who are like-minded or whatever. You can play with your spouse, or you can play with a friend, and and you're working towards a common goal. And what's really fun about a lot of the new tabletop games that are coming out, I mean, I'm not just talking about Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, but there are also board games where you're all on the same side, where these are cooperative games where you're not working to beat each other, you're working to beat the game.
So now I have a question to ask Alyx. Well, actually, it's two questions. The first part of the question is there a game out there that emulates the friend zone? And secondly, if there isn't one, should there be?
No. I mean, we're taking friend zone and saying it's a bad thing, but it can also be a good thing. Like, I have specific people that it's how it is in my life. Like, I have categories of friendships. So if you're in the friend zone, no one has ever gotten out and moved to the boyfriend zone. Like, I don't pick from that pile. But I know initially when I first meet you, okay, we're going to be friends. And that's it. You may have something else in mind, but not over here. And but I'm also very honest. So I let you know that, like, I'm not interested. So let's just, we're going to remain friends. We're going to hang out in groups. It's going to be great. You're stuck with me for life. Like, it's great. But I am going to call you about my boy problems just to let you know how much of a friend you are. But yeah, some people can handle it, some people can't.
Well, I know the flip side of that, because
I know. I do too. I've been through it.
Remember when I was talking about how a month before? Well, the reason I was in such pain was because I was in the friend zone with somebody who didn't want me to understand that I was in the friend zone.
See, that's the worst. That's not how the game's supposed to be played. First of all, we shouldn't be playing games at this age.
Rules? There are no rules.
There's also no crying in baseball. So,
that's right. But
there are rules, but they just keep changing.
They keep changing, yes.
True.
And the rule maker doesn't tell you when he's made a change in the rules.
Exactly. But now there's so many different subcategories with situations. Now you have friends. You have friends with benefits. You have it's a mess. It's hard out there. And then it's like, once you're friends with benefits, I feel like you can't go into a relationship because it's like, I'm having my cake and eating it too. Why do I need to like lock you down? Like, what's the point?
Well, I could answer that. My wife is my best friend.
Right.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. But I'm saying you don't start out with saying, okay, we're nothing but friends, but you know what? We can hook up every once in a while. Like, that's not conducive. That's not gonna work.
We were much more fragmented than that. I mean, we were having trouble just, connecting on the first date. So, I mean, it wasn't anywhere near that well cohesive and well organized,
Right. But you guys started out dating, though. You weren't friends first. That's what I'm saying.
But even the date wasn't really a date. It was just, let's meet, because, we didn't have social media, so we couldn't see each other's video and so forth. So it was our first time to just kind of interact. It wasn't a date. It was just like, who are you? Who am I? All that kind of thing. Right. And we still didn't know. We had to follow the 3-date rule in order to actually find out who the other person was.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a muddy world. There's a lot of mud. There's blood and guts, and there's pain and sorrow, and there's joy, and there's everything in between. Welcome to reality. Welcome to life.
Welcome to life.
I think more people who find themselves in that friend zone are people who, especially younger people who go to the same school from the time they were in kindergarten all the way through high school. Then they find that they're friends with all these people, because you're basically all growing up together. Yeah. And then when you get old enough to start wanting to date, and you're like, "Hey, I can date you," and they're like, no, I know you too well.
I know you too well.
Yeah.
I remember when you were that little kid picking his nose. No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, no.
exactly. We used to take baths together. That's not going to work. That's not
No,
gonna
no.
I've seen you naked. We may have been 6, but I've seen you naked.
Well, no wonder there's so many people with body issues.
Yeah. Because I remember when I was in high school, when I was getting to be, sophomore, junior, senior, I wanted to date more, and every girl in my own class that I asked said no, and so I started to date from people outside of school because I happened to belong to this fraternity that was the entire state, and so those girls I didn't know, and so I could date them.
Mhm.
And so, and
there's a whole role playing thing right there.
right,
That's big time role playing because the only way that I can be involved with you is if I don't know anything about you.
right.
So you just play whoever you're going to play. I'll play whoever I'm going to play, and let's see if it works.
I went to like 5 or 6 proms because I was able to go to all these different schools because these girls I was dating weren't from my own school. And then when I went to my own prom and I'm bringing this strange girl with me and like, who the hell is that?
Bill was thinking outside the box as early as high school. I have to give him credit for that.
I mean, yeah, you got to do it. Prom is like an amazing thing. So if you can go multiple times, it's good times.
Well,
I mean, there were only 2 schools in my area, but no, it depends on if you went from town to town. But yeah, there were only 2 high schools in my town, so 2 proms. That was it.
Yeah. Well, I was in the fraternity I was in. I had to actually dress in a tuxedo pretty often because it was Masonic related, and so I owned my own tux.
Mm-hmm.
So for these
that
girls,
saves money.
yeah, for these girls and also these girls were rainbow girls, so they all had gowns already. They owned their own gowns because they had to do this for their thing. So we already had the outfit, so there wasn't a whole lot of whatever. If I needed a date for my prom, I would just ask one and say, "Hey, would you want to come to my prom?" And all we would do is coordinate the flowers. And that
was such a simpler time.
It was a simpler time, and so we already had the outfit, so we didn't have to. It didn't cost a lot of money. It was just the cost of going to the prom. We go, we have a great time. We say goodbye, and that was it. And in the relationships with these particular girls that I took to my proms, they weren't serious relationships. They were it was just a date.
I want y'all both to, when we're done here, to Google prom 2019 and see how the outfits have changed.
Yeah.
I'm talking customized dresses, customized tux to match the customized dress. Okay. There was this one I saw it was a lesbian couple, and they had coordinating matching dress and matching pantsuit, but it was champagne colored mixed with pink, and it had all the rhinestones on. I was like, okay, girls, get it. But yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Like, prom is so expensive.
So is there now a TV show, Say Yes to the Prom Dress?
There should be.
There really should.
Oh no.
Yes. I mean, they had that show, My Super Sweet 16, and that was like this. That was as close as you got.
So what does somebody do who I'm going to kind of equate what Bill and I grew up in as like the impoverished version of prom. Okay?
Yeah, like, did y'all take limos to your prom?
No. No, but some people did. Some people did.
Yeah.
Well, some people went the whole hog. Some people, and also some people had after parties and whatever.
Yes,
I didn't go to the after parties. I didn't go to the after parties. It was going to the dance, dancing, eating some food, going home.
Boo.
Yep.
The after party is where all the fun is at, because that's where all the supervision has dispersed. And
in 2 of those 6 proms, the girl broke up with me right after the prom was over.
That'll happen. That'll happen.
Like, okay, all right, date's over. We're done.
Yeah.
That was basically where my confusion began, actually.
Prom season.
Yeah, prom season. I was. Well, I'm going to prove that I was a geek. Actually, now that I think about it, I was working in the computer lab. Now, this is 1973.
Wow.
Right. This is like computers barely existed, but we actually had access to the State University computer. And so, I was doing time sharing on the computer, and I was trying to write this program. I was actually trying to write a game that would play cards, which I thought was pretty cool. The most I ever actually got to do was to actually build a deck, but that was progress.
There you go.
But anyway, I was in there, and this girl comes in, and she's sitting next to me, and I'm engrossed. And when you're programming, you're focused, right? So I had no idea that anybody else is in the room. All of a sudden, I feel this warm breath on my neck. I'm like, whoa, what was that? She's looking over my shoulder. And I said, who are you?
Oh, I hate that.
And she introduced herself. Her name was Kathy. And she got talking to me. And looking back, I realized I was the mark.
Not the mark.
I was the mark. I was the target. And for whatever reason, she had decided that I was the one that she wanted to go to the prom with. So it started out with, I was barely even ready for a relationship. And here she was trying to get me into a full-blown relationship.
Those are the ones you got to watch out for.
And it was getting hot and heavy. We're making out at her parents' house, which is also very uncomfortable. And
awkward.
Very awkward. And her parents seemed to be okay with it, which was really strange. And then come the prom, we go to the prom, and she never spoke to me again and spent the rest of the time in high school bad-mouthing me.
Yeah, that's high school.
Yeah.
It pretty much, messed me up for the next 20 years.
Yeah. Well,
I learned early back then. You got to learn to let things go, but I was probably on the other side of that. So
yeah,
it wasn't so much that I wasn't willing to let it go; it's that I didn't understand what I was letting go of.
Right.
Well,
you have to understand that to let it go. Yeah.
I had no clue what was going on. Now, all I knew was, what the bleep was that?
Well, she saw you there in the computer lab, and she was like, I am guaranteed he doesn't have a date.
Probably. Yeah.
And the guy I wanted to ask is already going with somebody else. So, all right, it's 2 weeks before prom. I gotta go to prom. That one. I'm gonna go over that one. And I don't care if I think he's ugly. I don't care if I think he's like not for me or whatever. I'm going to prom.
Pickings get slim 2 weeks before. Let me tell you.
So, well, this wasn't even 2 weeks. This was about 2 months before. So she was planning well in advance. Yeah. But talk about role playing. This was a role playing game with no apparent rules.
Yeah.
No.
With no apparent object of the game. I had no idea what game we were playing.
No, on your side, there was no rules and no object of the game. She knew the rules and she knew the object of the game. The object was to go to prom and get rid of this dude.
but that's why I used the word apparent, because there was no clear signal. There was nobody had ever clued me in on what she was doing.
Yeah.
But actually, a cool thing though with prom 2019, I believe, is that, and I've seen some of those pictures, and I'm actually surprised to see how many people go to prom by themselves.
You're surprised? That's like a whole thing.
I know it's a whole thing. It's great.
You don't bring sand to the beach, man. That's hello.
You don't. But there used to be such a social stigma of going to prom, not have anybody with you.
Yeah.
Which is why proms were underattended, by the way.
Right. So, all these people refused to go because they couldn't find dates, or they weren't ready to date, or they just thought the whole thing was just ridiculous. Yep. And now you can actually go to prom without victimizing the poor computer geek. And you can go and have a good time and not have to hurt anybody's feelings along the way.
I think it has a lot to
stop anybody. I mean, people still hurt their feelings all the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they've lost the opportunity.
Well, I think with the whole going by yourself at prom comes along with people becoming their true selves. So it's like it's harder and harder. Well, simpler these days, but back in the day, if you were gay or transgender or whatever,
Right.
it's harder to find a date. So why not go by yourself? So that's where it all started. And now everybody's got somebody. So you can go by yourself and we hang out with your friends, it's great.
Right.
But it's got to be more confusing in a sense, because now there are many more examples to look at that say, well, they found somebody, why can't I?
It's not your time yet.
Yeah.
Your time will come. Nobody find. I mean, I'm not gonna say nobody, but majority of people don't find their forever person at 17 at prom.
No.
It's not how it works.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I mean, it does happen. It's
yeah.
rare,
My parents did go to prom together.
Did they? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that I also know that is the very rare exception.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Except in certain audio plays.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
But they didn't make it though. It didn't.
Spoiler.
Yeah, sorry.
Y'all are terrible. Y'all are worse than me.
Oh, I'm sorry. This was. I thought this was discussed in detail in previous episodes.
It probably was.
Yeah.
But for the new audience.
For the new audience, yes. No more spoilers.
No more spoilers.
But as well as I do, spoilers are fun. That's why you did your program, Spoiler Alert.
True. Spoilers are fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for me personally, I need to know everything. And I need to know it right away. Like, I'm the type of person to watch the show and then I stay tuned for the coming next week. I have to see. Whereas my mother's the opposite. She's like, no, I'm done with the episode. I was like, what do you mean? We gotta see what happens next week. Well, she deletes it off the DVR. I was like, how do you not want to know? So then I have to go Google it because now it's on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh man!
It reminds me of what there were these two guys who were my marketing gurus. They taught me a whole bunch about, particularly online marketing, but marketing in general. One of the things that they would teach, and they were not your mainstream marketing teachers. They kind of taught weird variations. Let's put it that way.
Out of the box.
Out of the box, very much out. One of the things that they taught is if you have something that you're selling, whatever it is, okay, a program, a video series, whatever it is, give the audience everything that's in it, except for the one piece that they need in order to make the whole thing work.
Ooh, I like that.
Which is really cruel.
Yeah.
But I mean, talk about spoilers. I mean, you spoil the whole thing. Here's everything you need to know except for that one crucial piece.
Yep. I've recently experienced this with there was a guy who was selling secrets to how to catch a man. And I was like, all right, let's see where this rabbit hole goes. So you click on this and you watch this 10-minute video but he doesn't explain it just yet. He's like, are you this type of person? Are you this? Do you attract this type of people? And it's like, okay, but get to the part where then I need to know. And it's like, okay, now at the end of this 23-minute video that you just watched, if you pay $29.95, I will email you the secret. It's like, son of a biscuit.
Yep. Got me again.
I mean, he wasn't going to get me. I don't fall for stuff like that. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like,
he did get you. He got you to listen to 23 minutes of it. I mean,
that's true. He got me in a different way because I was like, all right, let's find out how deep this rabbit hole goes. I got to know.
That was 23 minutes to get, figure out how to get your email address and get you onto a list and get you to approve this other stuff you wanted.
No, I didn't go that far. I was like, nah, son, it's not happening.
Not happening. Okay. Too savvy for him.
No, because you will end up in my spam box. Stop playing.
So, we just came up with like 4 or 5 different examples of role playing.
Yep.
So Bill, I got to ask you, what do you need an organized game for? It's not like there are no opportunities out in the real world.
Well, actually, the great thing about an organized game though is that you're able to role play in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Well, everybody should have their safety word. I mean,
It's a
No, no, no,
relative term.
no. I mean,
Relative.
actually, what I mean by that is, say you want to do a role play with a. Actually, there's two different types of role play that you can do in a safe environment, and one is playing a tabletop game
mm-hmm,
where you for a short time you can be somebody else
mm-hmm.
and live somebody else's life, usually in a horrible, chaotic world.
You
Mm.
obviously have not played tabletop games in certain family situations.
Okay, because Monopoly has been ruining families since 1900.
It's like that TV commercial. I can't even remember what the product is, but they've got this famous fighter type character who's sitting at a table with a family, and the game isn't going his way, so he wipes the free of the game. You know? Oh, I win.
I would.
It's like you haven't played Uno in a black family. I guarantee it. And it shows.
Okay.
See, that's what happens when you live in Rutland, Vermont. You live too sheltered a life, Bill. That's all.
Well, we do have a game shop who does a tabletop night almost every night.
Mm,
And they do Magic the Gathering, they do Pokemon games and whatever. I mean, whatever you're into, you
mm,
can meet other people who share that interest,
mm,
and you can play a game together. And sometimes you can be friends with these people. Sometimes you're just playing. Sometimes
mm,
sometimes the extent of your friendship is just the playing of the game.
mm.
And it's a nice little mini community. It's a nice little escape from the world. The other type of role playing game you can do, which is a little more involved, is LARPing, which is live action role playing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where you actually get dressed up in a costume.
Mm,
You go camping out in the woods, and you go through these. It's like improvisational theater without an audience, where you are both the audience and the player at the same
yeah.
time.
It's like the King Richard's Fair on 10.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
this is the next generation Renaissance fair, is what this is.
Oh, and actually, LARPing's been going on for decades.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not
Because
all Renaissance. It's anything. It's anything.
anything. I mean, there's Vampire the Masquerade you can play.
Mm-hmm.
There's where there's these groups that rent out hotel suites or entire floors of hotels,
Mm-hmm.
and they do murder mysteries.
Yep.
And so that's another form of LARPing is murder mystery nights. If you've ever done that with your friends,
Yep.
where you're playing characters in a story, and with murder mysteries, it's very one shot where at the end of the night you're going to find out who done it,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point at the game you stop it and say, okay, everybody write down who you think done it and why. And there's clues all over the house, and you have to talk to people and do your little role play thing. And it's a nice thing for friends to get together to do something that doesn't involve talking about religion or politics or anything like that, because you're doing something that is, you're playing a different character. You're playing somebody who is not yourself. And so a lot of those social barriers that get in the way of a cocktail party or whatever, because I hate going to cocktail parties, because again, people are role playing, but they're trying to role play themselves.
Mm-hmm. Or what you want, what they think you want. Yeah.
What they think you want, and it's very awkward, very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I would prefer to go to a murder mystery night or to do a tabletop role play or something like that, because then a lot of that, you're doing the same kind of game playing, but everybody knows it's pretend.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get to know somebody a little bit, but then when it's over, then you can say, okay, now the barriers are down. We were playing a game, and yeah, what's your real name?
Yeah.
All right, now we've explored quite a few aspects of these two topics, and there is quite a bit of overlap between them. But now I want to go back to law of attraction. I want to
Okay.
go back to deliberate creation. And I want to ask a really basic question. With all of this information in mind that we've been touching on here, there, and about throughout the show, how do you now go about attracting the kinds of friend relationships, non-friend relationships, or just role-playing, game-playing relationships that you want to have?
I think you just set up your own boundaries and know what you'll allow, what you prefer, what you don't prefer, and what you'll allow, and that puts people in different categories.
Right. Like 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 the LARPing. Some people can take that a little too far. So what they do in the beginning is they set up safe words for everybody. So there's a safe word that everybody knows from the orientation, because in the beginning they say, okay, these are the rules of the game, and this is the safe word. If somebody's role playing a little too heavy for you and you're getting uncomfortable, because the idea is to have fun, and the idea is not to make you uncomfortable. So there's a safe word. So you use the safe word when you are feeling uncomfortable, and that way you know that's you've crossed a line, or you're getting very close to a line. You need to back off. And so from a law of attraction perspective, again, if you're moving to a new city, or you're trying to find you're in a new place where you don't know too many people, you don't have many friends, this is a great way for you to meet people and to have friends who share the same interests that you have, and then you start opening up networks and people exchanging ideas and whatever, and maybe one or two of those can turn into a romantic thing. Most likely you're going to have people who you're going to put into the friend zone, which is fine, because people don't go to these things to look for romantic relationships per se.
Right.
They're going there to find people who they can be friends with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a key point.
And in fact, people who have romantic relationships within games, like if you have a game night with a bunch of friends and two people start dating, it usually ruins the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because especially if they break up or whatever, then like if you're doing a D&D campaign where you're meeting once a week for 3 hours and you're playing a game, and two of your players start dating each other, and then they start having a fight, or they break up or whatever, you've destroyed the campaign. Now you got to start all over again, and that makes everybody mad. So you want to keep everybody in the friend zone. Everybody's in the friend zone here. We're here playing a game. We're not here to have relationships here. We're here just to enjoy ourselves and enjoy each other's company and play a game together.
I think there's a higher level message in there too. What the higher level message is, it's the same message that we have with anything else we're trying to manifest, and that is stop trying to manifest it.
Right.
We have this tendency as human beings to want to make it happen. And we will take any opportunity that comes along to try to make it happen. And my best advice is don't do that.
Yep.
Right.
Trust the way the universe works. Trust the way the law of attraction works. Trust the way your inner being works. And all you have to do is put it out there, whatever it is that you're trying to attract. So if you're trying to attract a friend, just put it out you're trying to attract a friend. Don't go nuts. Don't
go nuts.
Don't take advantage of the fact that you have this organized game and now you can get over next to this other person that you're interested in so you can become a friend with them. No, don't do that. Go to enjoy the event. Go to enjoy the activity. Don't go there with an agenda of trying to find somebody, whether it be a friend, a lover, or anything else. Don't do that, because all you're doing is undermining your own ability to attract.
Right. There are other venues for that.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure there are, to be honest. I mean, I know that there are plenty. There's everything from Tinder to anything on the.
No, I was going to say Facebook groups.
Facebook, yeah. I mean, there's all this stuff out there. But my point is, any of them that you go to, any of them, if you're going there in order to find somebody, you are undermining your own process.
Right.
Yes.
You're undermining it. That's the key lesson. You got to let go of. All you have to do is just put it out there that you want it, and you are done.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all you have to do, and then just go out there and enjoy. If you can go out there and just enjoy, then the person will show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Until you let go, forget it.
You don't have to go out there and do the most. You
don't. No. And that's the real big lesson. So, yeah. And that I think is why that's where I saw the overlap when I heard you guys talk about the topics.
Mm-hmm.
That was it right there, because
Mm-hmm.
role-playing games are all about playing the game for the fun of playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So often we turn it into an intense thing, like I've got to find this right person, and I'm going to play the game in order to find this right person.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Right.
friend zone. The friend zone is all about somebody who's being too tough, too rigid about, I got to find the right person. So you put them in the friend zone because it's safer over there.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up in a place they didn't want to be in the first place.
Yep.
That's where I saw the overlap. So
Right.
yeah. All right. Well, then we got a few minutes left. I'm going to give each of you guys a chance to tell me or to tell us anything more that you're thinking of, or why you thought your topic was better, or whatever else you want to do with it.
Was better.
This is a competition. You have 30 seconds. Good luck.
Well, I was actually going to pick up on what Bill was saying about LARPing, is because this is a huge theme that goes on in Supernatural, because the two main characters, to get to the bottom of whatever the monster of the week is, they have to role play. They sometimes they're police officers, FBI agents, medical what do you call those? Examiners, medical examiners. They play all kinds of roles. One time they played priest. I mean, and then there wasn't one episode where they actually did LARPing. They went to a LARPing. Some monster or some fairy was killing people at a LARPing event, so they had to go to that. So that was really good.
The Death Fairy.
Yeah. Well, she was being controlled by somebody who was taking the LARPing a little too far, and so he was magically making her kill other people. No spoilers,
Fairies aren't what they used to be. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Well, if you can control them, if you know what to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Tinkerbell has evolved over the years. Tinkerbell used to be this little flashing light. Now she's like this manipulative little fellow, little person who goes around and messes with people's relationships. It's like, whoa, what happened to Tinkerbell?
She didn't mess with people's relationships, okay? She tried to help.
You obviously haven't seen the same movies lately that I have.
Oh, I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about Once Upon a Time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was trying to help Regina, and Regina was just like, no, I don't want to fall in love. I know that's my soulmate, but I don't care.
I mean, the latest thing with Peter Pan is that she was in love with him, and she was trying to drive Wendy and everybody else away.
No, that's not the true story now.
Well, it may not be the true story, but it's what they've turned it into.
You got to get into Once Upon a Time. I'm telling you, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole.
Okay.
You'd enjoy it though. It's wholesome, but then it's like devious a little bit. I like it. And then it's like the characters build upon other characters, but you're familiar with the characters, so it's great.
I love it when you bring in wholesome deviousness. That's really great.
Well, Bill started it with role playing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, Bill, is it all your fault, truly?
Yes.
It must be. It must be.
You didn't specify what kind of role playing we were starting off with, and then he started talking about safe words, and I was just like, "Listen, pineapples, not ready."
But that is a form of role play too, because people. It is a form of role play because especially for people who feel disempowered in their lives and whatever, or who feel like they've got too much power or whatever. It's role reversal. It's whatever. It's to You're
still acting out your fantasy, no matter what it is.
You're still acting out your fantasy. Absolutely, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's understood that this is a game, that you're playing a game, and that the person you're playing it with is a safe person to play it with. That the person you're playing with it is not going to take it so seriously as to say, okay, this is now real life. Yeah. Because that's not what you play games for. You play games in order to move away from real life for a little while. Maybe you're using it as a form of therapy to help you with your real life. And a lot of people use role play games for that. Yep. So, like, if they're going through life and they're being, they're constantly being a victim or whatever, they will play a role of a hero
Mm-hmm.
in order to get a feeling of what it means to be feeling empowered
Yep.
within the context of the game. And then they can go back to their normal life and say, wait a second, I know what it feels like to be
Mm-hmm.
empowered because I played that in the game. Maybe I can incorporate that in my game, in my real life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it sounds really complex. To me, the old method of sitting in a sandbox, making your sandcastle, and having the other kid come over and kick the sandcastle over told me really quickly I didn't want to be friends with him. And done.
Well, I personally stayed away from those outdoor litter boxes. I just, I had to think about germs even way back then. Nope.
I guess so.
Mm-mm.
Hey,
Yeah, Minecraft is a lot safer hygienically.
Yeah. I mean, I keep it all the way safe. The only game I play is Sims.
Okay. But this is another
I've come a
sandbox
long
game.
way because back in the day, I was like the queen of Sonic and Mortal Kombat. But Mortal Kombat's on a whole nother level now. I can't. It's too gory for me.
Is Sims still a thing? I know it was really big a few years ago.
Yes,
Big,
it's still
big
a thing.
time.
Yep.
It's actually evolved into another sandbox game where you can actually play in servers and communities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think we've covered everything possible with games. That's good. But the only thing that we're missing is the song games people play. But other than that, we're there. So thank you very much, guys.
We didn't pay for the rights, so.
This is a lot of fun, though. I enjoyed this. This is a good conversation. Very wide-ranging, covered a lot of stuff, and lighthearted. It was great. So thank you very much. And thank you to our live stream listeners who were actually pretty quiet today, but they were there. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well, because they're the best. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.